Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Chasing Time Travelers. I want to clear up a few things that I mentioned so far, and I want to explain to you why I think these time travelers, if they exist, why I think they are American military people. So, let's start. I'm going to talk about a war theme throughout some of the slides I've shown you already, and since I forgot to put in a slide about the Toltec warriors, we'll look on the bottom left where there's me, and then you can see the Toltec warriors, or presumably, war theme. Okay, I don't have enough time to do a really great job on this because I have a job. So let's see. Let's just move on. I showed you the Davenport tablets before, and as I mentioned, they had a 9/11 war theme, right? People attacking by air on September 11th, Twin Towers falling, people being cremated, and all that. And then I showed you this model that American military time travelers. My theory is that in the future, they will travel backwards to our past and leave what's known as a hall of records among the Mayas and a few other people in the form of rituals, myths, and a map made of stone temples. I mentioned the Pleiades and Tikal. What I may not have mentioned was the Pleiadian Wars. There's a theory out there that the Pleiades are inhabited by intelligent beings, and they've been at war with I forget who the other people are. Um, I supposedly this person Ashtar was is one of the Pleiadians. And the guy who talks about the Pleiadians a lot, I'm pretty sure it was Billy Myers, and he said he was visited and stuff. He's in France. I'm not sure. I don't think he's alive anymore. I'm not endorsing this. I'm just saying, I think he talked about it. And but this I am endorsing since it's part of my theory. So yeah, I've shown you the who I think the German soldiers are. There's like 300 of those guys along the replica of the French Atlantic coast line, World War II. And I showed you the pillar that I believe is a reference to Napoleon at Corsica. Napoleonic Wars would be the backdrop. The guys who used to, I mentioned to you at the Temple of the Warriors in Chichen Itza, the Mayas, when they captured people, they would, at least the men anyway, they'd take off all their clothes, paint them blue, and cut their hearts out. And but only at the temple that represents France. And I'm not saying they said it represents France. I'm saying I think it represents France. Um, and something similar to that, used to happen in France. The Gallic soldiers used to attack France. I'm sorry, used to take off all their clothes, paint themselves in WOAD, blue, and then attack the French. And that's that whole Robert the Bruce Braveheart lineage. And these cones that we see at the Icelandic temple, according to my theory, I believe they are. I believe they represent nuclear warheads. Through the Freedom of Information Act back in '82, researchers found out that America had been storing nuclear weapons in Iceland, and my theory is that the platform of Venus represents Iceland, and they found these, what I believe are nuclear warhead replicas in the Icelandic temple. More war. And I didn't talk about Huitzilopochtli, but I think the Mayas are presenting Huitzilopochtli as the god of war. And the brief story with that is in one of those myths, they say that there were two capitals, a northern one and a southern one, and the northern one was in a swampland, and the southern one was on a hill, and they had a war, and the North won. Now, if you think about geography, Washington, D.C. was in a swampland. Part of it still is as you head out toward the Potomac River, and they had to fill it in. And Richmond, I know there are hills there. I just don't know if there's a particular hill that would be relevant to this. But the geography rings true. And again, they said the North won. Here's the Lincoln Memorial, and of course, the Lincoln Memorial is partly about the Battle of Gettysburg. And here's the Lincoln replica, the bearded man, and those are war feathers on his head on the right there. And where we have the Gettysburg Address, the Mayas have on the left. You can see those are images of battles, at least according to a particular Mayan tour guide on whose conversation I eavesdropped. And I mentioned that the ball court is where the Maysgot twins were playing, and then they were challenged by the lords of Xibalba, and then they got killed. And then the hero twins had the same experience, except they beat the lords of Xibalba. I think, as I said before, I think they're talking about the American Revolutionary War, where the hero twins are George Washington and John Adams, encrypted, and where King George III is who the Mayas called Vucubcaquix. They called him a bird demon. I think it's I didn't say this before, but the Mayas referred to kings as birds, particularly parrots. I forget why. I think it was because of the tail feathers looking like a robe or something. And so yeah, King George III was a Porphyria victim, and so he would have these outbursts like on the left, and so that's back at the time of when he lived, they believed that was attributed. They attributed that to demon possession. And again, as I said before, Lord Cornwallis, I think he's the son of the principal bird demon, who was King George III. And so he would be called Zipacna in the Mayan mythology. And where the Mayas talk about going to Xibalba, they're talking about going to England, or at least, encountering England, I'll put it that way. So Valley Forge was Colt House, the burning of Norfolk was Hot. Knife House was Battle of Bunker Hill. Bat House was the naval bar shot that the British used against the Americans. Maybe they both used it, I forget. The story of the Maryland 400 is a classic battle of the Battle of Long Island, also known as the Battle of Brooklyn. Again, this is American Revolutionary War with England, and I talked about this before. The Vietnam Wall Memorial. I mean, what are the odds, right? In other words, they got the Lincoln Memorial in perfect proximity to the Capitol, and they got the stuff inside of them right. There's no other Mayan structure at Chichen Itza that's built the same way the Lincoln Memorial, the Temple of the Bearded Man is. There's no other structure that's built the way this Wall of Dead Soldiers is. This is beyond coincidence. That's why I think the people behind this were warriors, because they keep showing us these war themes. You know who was a very unlikely candidate to win the contest to make the Vietnam Memorial? It was a woman named Maya Lin, right? And maybe Maya means something, but in any case, she's from Asia. But in any case, it's like, wait, who was this unknown person? But she won. And not only that, not only did her Wall of Dead Soldiers win, but and again, I can't remember this military officer's name, but he said it was random. He randomly picked a spot on the National Mall for the memorial, and it's the exact juxtaposition where the Mayas put their Wall of Dead Soldiers 1,000 years earlier, right? Like, why didn't they put, I don't know, any other random thing in that particular spot or some other spot? Why a Wall of Dead Soldiers in the exact place where we had the same thing built 1,000 years later? Now, are we copying the Mayas? I guess that's possible. But if that's the case, then how do the Mayas know about world geography? How did they know about that? Italy looks like a boot with a heel and you can see the foot part, and you can see, it's too many. I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. It's too many coincidences for me. And then they show us the World War One munitions plant. You see this guy? Now he's following that eagle on the left. The eagle has the human heart, which means he's the president. So whoever this guy is with his arrows and spears and snakes and stuff, he's some sort of defense guy following the American president. Well, yeah, that's right. That's exactly what the head of this would be head of the Navy, naval munitions. That, of course, is exactly what he does. And here's the munitions plant on the right. That's what they're showing us on the left. And if you look at that munitions plant and you go up toward the middle of the page and over near the river there, the Potomac, you can see the Lincoln Memorial, right? This is built a long time ago. And then they destroyed it to put the Vietnam Wall in that general area. And then they again, with a war kind of offense defense theme, they put these snipers on top of the White House, the replica 1,000 years ago. This guy's got night vision goggles, a helmet, some kind of bazooka. Look at his hands. Look at this. Look at these guys. These are warriors. Here's another one that I showed you before. It looks like he's got some kind of rocket launcher. Here's a close-up of him. And of course, we know that's what's up there is counter snipers. And then there's Godell. I don't have time to explain it, but Godell was involved in a war. He's always smoking a pipe. He's got a cane. He's got a cape, as you can see on the left. And he's the head of Xibalba, which, as I told you before, Xibalba is England. I think we're talking Winston Churchill. And then on the lower right, as I said, I think that's the bunker for the first nuclear weapon. And when they talk about these bulkheads, they're talking about warring tectonic plates. And when they show bulkheads with hoops, they're talking about the war of politics. Thank you for listening.